All right, welcome back to another episode of Knicks Morning Coffee Recap. All right, we got to get into it. Talk a little bit about last night's game. Looks like we're going to try to do things the hard way. I thought we was going to close them out. I didn't see any reason why we shouldn't have done that at home, being that it's only game 5. Detroit has shown that they are a formidable foe, but these are still teams that you're supposed to beat. I mean, all the great teams go through a time when they run up against an opponent who will give them a hard time in the playoffs, but it's a done deal. So again, we have 2 more games to go, but I would have liked to have seen us close that out. Now, one thing I'm going to jump right into is Karl Anthony Towns needs a go-to move. All of our greats in NBA history and also all of our greats for the Knicks, dating all the way back to Bernard King, the spin baseline jumper. Same with Patrick Ewing, spin baseline. We get up to Stephon Marbury, the crossover pull-up. Allen Houston, the spin out by the three-point line on the wing. Carmelo Anthony, spin going baseline the other way. Everybody had something that they could rely on when it comes down to one shot. And as great as Cat is, he don't seem to have that. And that's costing us because we could have closed that game out, be it Cat or Brunson, with a go-to move. Now, Brunson was on the bench during those final times when he had to go out. But still, that wasn't the reason that we lost. I know people are going to say Josh Hart and Brunson couldn't get back in the game. We still had Cat on the floor, and we still had OG and McCall, people like that. So that wasn't a good enough reason for me to think that because they wasn't there, we lost the game. We lost the game on a mental toughness and not recognizing what the Pistons was giving us. I mean, they put us right back in the game. We was down, what, 6, 7, whatever points. They gave it to us. And then we didn't come back and capitalize on it. And I don't know where the blame should be pointed because it's not panic mode, but it's just that when are we going to start learning from our mistakes? I said the last game, I couldn't have tell you how we won because of the way those few minutes unfolded. Well, this one, to me, I think I can clearly see we didn't really execute. We relied on prayers and Hail Marys to keep us in the game at the end. And that's not what this team is supposed to be built on. We won over 50 games because we had learned to, take the lead and put teams away at the end. And we're struggling at the end of all of these games, and this can't be. I mean, it's only round 1, but if you want to fight and get out of round 1 healthy, then you got to recognize what the game is giving you. And Detroit is handing us the game in the last 3 minutes of every game. And we're not really executing enough to take it. And even though we were up 3-1, we're not taking it. We're surviving. And we can't have that. We got to go in and get ready for this next series within the back of your mind when you're still trying not to look ahead. But human nature tells you you're not going to be able to play this way towards the Boston Celtics. Now, again, the Boston Celtics play excellent offense. They got pretty good, great defensive players, but they're not going to hound you 48 minutes the way Detroit is. So you'll have some breathing room. But we are not putting together our smarts. And I want to see Jalen Brunson and I want to see Karl Anthony Towns do that in this next game. I want to see them pick this team up, put them on their back, and not put them on their back by trying to take all the points. Put them on their back by putting people in position to win. Deuce was doing some things that was helping us. OG was doing some things that was helping us. So we have to collectively put everybody in this circle and then move the ball around that way and then pick on them the way they're picking on us. Now, we talk about Brunson's defense in this series, and they have been attacking Brunson at every turn that they get. They are switching and sending a big and throwing it right over the top, and we're not even able to defend that because Brunson is not a leaper. He's not a high flyer. So he can't even contest. When they do that, all you can do is put yourself in foul trouble, and then you're at the mercy of the Detroit Pistons. So this is something that has to be figured out because they're doing it at crucial times of the game. And we know it's coming, and yet we're still allowing ourselves to get switched in that position. Now, the alternative is still not to take Brunson out of the game because we need him on the floor as our captain and our leader. But we have to figure out something where he's not stuck down there in no man's land, or at least give him another tool to defend that situation. Because they're constantly throwing that man down there in the pick and roll and over the top, and it's just an easy dunk. It's like a practice dunk. All right, so we have to try to find ways to fight through this adversity and come out still with the victories and come out healthy and scathed, because they're giving us all they can handle on the physicality standpoint. And we're meeting it. Can't say that we're not meeting that physicality, but we're not coming away letting them know that we the New York Knicks and y'all are in our house. So each team has won on the other one's floor. So that could tell somebody that could it go game 7? It could. Should it go game 7? It shouldn't. All right. But again, we're not down because we live for these moments. We live for these playoff atmospheres. We live for the memories. And this series has given us all the memories that we can muster, because we remember the Bernard King and Isaiah Thomas series. We remember the Isaiah Thomas and Patrick Ewing series. So we have something to hold our head on. And in each one of those times, we came out the victor. So, you know, I'm not down. It's just sometimes you want to see our stars be the star. You know, be the star at the closing minutes of the game. It don't have to be you. It could be somebody else. But, you know, this is life in the NBA. And this is life for the New York Knicks. Still have to get shout out to, you know, Deuce McBride and Cameron Payne coming off our bench and holding it down. I think Precious Achiuwa, to me, he should get some minutes, because he can beat their bigs down the floor, and maybe we can get some easy transition buckets that way. But Karl-Anthony Towns is not playing a bad game. He's being aggressive. He just needs a go-to strike, you know, just a real quick strike that can get me a bucket whenever I need it. All right, so we move on to game 6 proudly, and, you know, and let's just say, hey, let's go Knicks. All right, until next time, peace.